The increase in lawlessness in our world is another sign that is foretold in Scripture, showing the lateness of the hour in which we live. We observe more and more people turning away from moral standards, actually celebrating their sin and pride, which is troubling yet foretold in Scripture. The rise in unrighteous behavior reminds believers of the urgency of sharing the gospel. It encourages us to stand firm in our faith and to be examples of the God that we serve while we're reaching out to others, guiding them to the truth that is only found through Jesus. Jesus in Matthew 24:12 says, "And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold." And in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5, Paul lists a laundry list of things of what the world is going to look like during that time. He starts out by saying, "But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unforgiving," it goes on, "slanderers, without self-control, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness," meaning outwardly they're going through the motions, it says, but denying its power. It says, "And from such people turn away." So these people are those who choose to reject Jesus for their temporary sin and pleasure. Thus, Romans chapter 1, verses 21 through 32, in that passage, it warns us of the consequences of making that choice. In verses 21 through 22, in that passage, it says, "Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools." And in verses 24 through 26, it says, "Therefore God gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their heart to dishonor their bodies among themselves," meaning he simply let go and gave them over to what they had chosen. It goes on, it says, "Who exchanged the truth of God for a lie. For this reason, God gave them up to vile passions." And in verses 28 and 32, it says, "And even as they did not retain God, in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them." So if you think that you're off the hook because you're not participating in these things, but you hang out with others that do and do not speak against these things, and even being more obedient, as 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5 said, it says, "And from such people turn away. Know that you are likely to be swept up in their coming judgment." Revelation chapter 18, verse 4 says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, 'Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, lest you receive her plagues.'" So this is a huge warning that if you continue in a chosen path that is contrary to how God instructs us to live, there is a point when he will solidify that choice in your heart, which is a point of no return. For this reason, we are told to be separate, to separate ourselves from them, from the world, or risk being caught up in their judgment. Jesus speaks of the outcome for those who think that they can live for the world and for Jesus. These superficial people, one foot in the world, one foot in church. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, 'Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?' And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness.'" So you need to understand there is no compromising in how God has instructed his people to live and walk. There will be rewards for those who listen and obey, and eternal consequences for those who do not.